So now I'm going to turn off my mic and let Regents, your presenter, Regents Norwood, Senior um, Certification Officer, I'm going to let her take you through how to become certified. So, Regents, I'm going to pass the controls to you. Give me just 1 second. And if you would like to share your screen, go ahead and click the share button. And if you could
All
just put it
right, here we
presentation.
go. Yeah, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Regents Norwoods. I'm the Senior Certification Officer here at the Department of Procurement Services. One of my responsibilities here is to review certification applications and make my recommendation. In this workshop, we'll discuss how to become certified with the City of Chicago. So our goals at a glance, we'll discuss the benefits of certification, who qualifies for certification, what the certification requirements are, the application process, what is the required information and documents that we will request, and what happens after the applications are submitted. Our department overview, the Department of Procurement Services, or DPS, is the contracting authority for the procurement of goods and services for the City of Chicago. We work together as a team and with our customers to guarantee an open, fair, and timely process by establishing, communicating, and enforcing superior business practices. The City of Chicago has 6 certification programs. The first 4 are our local programs: the MBE, Minority Owned Business Enterprise; the WBE, Women Owned; VBE, Veteran Owned; BEPD, which is the Business Enterprises for People with Disabilities. The last 2 are the federal programs: the DBE, Disadvantaged Business Enterprise, and the ACDBE, Airport Concessions Disadvantaged Business Enterprise programs. The benefits of a certification. So one of the benefits is that it provides visibility. So once your firm is certified, your firm is listed in a directory which is accessible to the general public and all prime contractors. So if they are looking to meet some type of diversity criteria, they would be able to access our directory and seek your firm out. There are also minority women and disadvantaged business participation goals on City of Chicago projects and also sister agencies. Almost all of our contracts have that goal for MBE or WBE for the local contracts. And there are also businesses in the private sector that seek out certified firms for products and or services. So again, those firms would look in our directory and be able to identify what their needs are and what firms are available to do that. The City of Chicago also has a target market program which provides exclusive bidding to certified minority business enterprises. This allows certified businesses to take 100% of the contract because there are no subcontractor goals associated with the project. Qualifying groups for the program include African Americans, Hispanic, Asian Indian, women, veterans, and people with disabilities. There are other individuals, if they can prove their social and economic disadvantages, that may be able to submit an affidavit to the Affirmative Action Board for the local program or to our legal department. And then once the different board or the legal department decides if the firm is qualified or eligible for the program, then we will continue our review of the application. Veteran-owned business enterprises is a fairly new program. For this program, veteran means a person who has served in the United States Armed Forces and was discharged or separated under honorable conditions. On the DD 214, which is a document that we request as evidence, that should be under discharge under honorable conditions. The DD 215 is, I believe, an amended form. If the vendor does not have their DD 214 or 215, the applicant should contact the Veterans Administration. We'll discuss the certification requirements in the next few slides. One of the criteria is that the firm is a local business. And by local, the principal place of business should be in one of the 6 local counties: Cook County, DuPage, Kane, Lake, McHenry, or Will, and that applies to the local programs, the MBE, WBE. For the DBE, ACDBE, the firm can be located anywhere in Illinois. So specifically for local businesses, we're looking at the management and control of the business. The majority owner in general should be located within these 6 counties. So for the program, the majority owner, which is 51%, has to be owned, controlled, and managed by the minority or the woman or the veteran or the person with disability. For the DBE, ACDBE, the owner must be socially or economically disadvantaged individuals. Another requirement of the program is that it meets the business size standards. So for the local programs, gross receipts must not exceed 43,229,869.51 which is an average over 3 years for non-construction firms. For construction firms, this is a new requirement under the regulations that for construction firms, they're subject to the SBA size standards for those primary lines of business, changed from 5 years now to 7 years. So we're looking at that average over 7 years. And so firms may be qualified where they weren't with the previous calculation. For the DBE program, this is also an update. The firm's 5-year average annual gross receipts must not exceed the SBA size limit for the firm's primary line of business, or the 3-year average maximum of 28.48 million. And this is specifically for the Federal Highway Administration and the Federal Transit Administration assisted contracts. Federal Aviation Administration assisted contracts is a different calculation, and that those firms must not exceed the SBA size limit for the firm's primary line of business, averaged over 5 years. For ACDBE firms, the firm's average gross receipts over 3 years must not exceed $56.42 million. And there are some exceptions. We also look at the personal net worth standard. So for the local program, the threshold only applies to construction companies, and the PNW is currently 2.49 million. This is evaluated annually by the city of Chicago. For the DBE, ACDBE, the threshold applies to all people, all vendors seeking certification, and is currently at 1.32. And this is adjusted periodically by the U.S. Department of Transportation. And I just want to point out for the PNW, for the local firms, there is an update to this calculation, and the personal net worth excludes business ownership, equity in any real estate and fixtures and furnishings. It also excludes your value in your pensions, 401k, or other retirement savings or investment programs. The next few slides will talk about the different business formations that qualify. So the sole proprietor is typically owned by one person, and that person has no legal existence apart from him or herself. If the firm, for instance, Regents, Norwoods, and Company, that firm must have a assumed name certificate if operating in a name other than my own Regents, Norwoods. The general partnership is generally 2 or more people that go into business together without any formalities. And we request a partnership agreement and would expect all partners to sign the partnership agreement. A corporation is treated as an entity that is completely separate from its shareholders. It allows others to invest in the business without being liable for the debts of that business. The firm must be in good standing with the Secretary of State. They must have articles of incorporation, certificate of incorporation, bylaws, copies of all stock certificates, front and back, stock ledger, meeting minutes. The other type of business is a limited partnership. The limited partners are more like stakeholders in a corporation. They're not liable for the debts beyond their own ownership. And we ask for assumed name certificate or certificate of limited partnership. There's also limited liability company, an LLC, which is partnerships that have a managing member or partner. And we ask for an operating agreement and articles of organization. The next few slides will talk about the suppliers, distributors, and brokers policy. So for the local program, suppliers and distributors are generally eligible for certification. Brokering is not, but brokers may be eligible for the federal programs. And we'll talk about the differences between those types of businesses. A supplier must be a regular dealer, which is a firm that owns, operates, or maintains a store, a warehouse, or other establishment in which materials, supplies, articles, or equipment are bought, kept in stock, and regularly sold or leased to the public in the usual course of business. So what's important here to know is that a supplier usually is not purchasing goods from another supplier. They generally have a store or a warehouse inventory on hand. For distributors, firms operating as a distributor are identified as having a direct relationship with a manufacturer to distribute its goods and products within a specified territory or region. The goods and or products are not available or sold to the general public. So for distributors, we generally ask for manufacturing agreements, and then that should be executed by the distributor and the manufacturer. They have that direct relationship. And these goods are not generally available or sold in like a store setting or to the general public. Brokers. So again, brokers are not eligible for certification as an MBE, a WBE, a VBE, or BEPD, but can be eligible for certification as a DBE. So by definition here for certification, a person or entity that fills out orders by purchasing or receiving supplies from a third party supplier rather than out of its own existing inventory and produces no substantial service other than acting as a conduit between his or her supplier and his or her customer is considered a broker. So that's the difference between brokering and supplying. Our application is 100% online, And the application website is chicago.mwdbe.com. So that's an important website to note. The application fee for the local program, except for the BEPD program, is $250. There is, and that is non-refundable, there is no fee for the DBE and ACDBE program. Once we receive your application, because it may be returned a couple of times, just because maybe the intake person didn't needed more information from you to submit. Once we receive it, you will receive an invoice with instructions of how to pay, either online or at a payment center. And then once we receive that payment, it will be assigned to certification officer for review. So there's various information that's needed in the application. The most important thing is your contact information needs to be current. Your name, your email address, your address, your phone number, that all needs to be updated if anything changes in our system. You also want to identify what certifications you're seeking. And so for example, if you're a minority and a woman, you want to select those two at the time of application. But just keep in mind that the federal program and the local program applications are separate. So you can't apply for MBE, WBE, and DBE on one application, but you can apply simultaneously and complete the two separate applications at the same time, which is highly recommended because a lot of the information is the same. And during the certification officer's review, we can look at all of it together and make our recommendation together. For the BEPD program, this program requires a Schedule G form in addition to the other information. That Schedule G form needs to be submitted to the mayor's office of people with disabilities. If they agree and authorize that, and it will be sent to our department for processing of the application. Again, for the VBE, this application requires the DD 214 or 215, and the applicant must be honorably discharged. We also ask for ownership information, employee information, facility, financial information, licensing. I think we talk about it a little bit later, but in general, facility information is like a copy of your office lease. If you have a home office and you own the office, you can provide a copy of your property taxes or your mortgage statement or your lease agreement if you rent. Also for licensing, it's important that you have all the proper licensing required for your business. So if you need a business license or a professional license or a trade license, please make sure those are current and uploaded in your application. Other information is proof of eligibility documents. So we ask for updated resumes, evidence of executed contracts and or invoices with proof of payment. So that helps us determine if your firm is eligible or has the technical expertise for those NAICS codes that your firm is requesting. We also ask for a driver's license, birth certificate, or passport. We ask for proof of equity contribution. So that's your initial equity. We usually ask for the source document and proof that it was deposited in business account. We also ask for the business bank account signatory card, the organization chart, equipment listing, loan information, etc. Financial documents that we ask for is for federal. We ask for federal, business, and individual tax returns. So for the non-construction firms, we ask for 3 years. For the local program, and 7 years for the construction firms in the local program. We ask for 5 years for the DBE, ACDBE, which are their federal programs. So keep in mind, if your firm has not been in business for 3, 7, or 5 years, you would just provide us with the federal tax returns of the year that you were in business, and explain why the other tax returns weren't provided. And it could be as simple as a narrative statement uploaded in your application. Individual tax returns, we would expect that you have all the required years and upload. And I just want to also point out that you need to manually sign with a pen these tax returns and then scan it and upload it. Even though your firm electronically submitted the tax returns to the IRS, we require a manual signature on the tax returns. So to avoid a lot of back and forth, just sign them, date them, put today's date, and submit it. For the we also ask for W-2s, 1099s, personal net worth statements, again, for the construction firms, and all new DBE, ACDBEs are required to submit personal net worth statements. After the applications are submitted, it can take approximately 90 days from the day we receive all the documents. That timeline does not start the minute you submit your application, because it may be returned. You're waiting to be invoiced. We're waiting to receive payment. It starts when we have all the information to review and make a recommendation. Your application is checked to make sure we have all the documents, they're thoroughly audited. You may even receive a site visit. So in general, all construction suppliers, distributors, wholesalers, trucking companies will receive a site visit, and all DBE, ACDBE applicants will also receive a site visit. And we have a field analyst who will contact you to schedule that, and it usually is a standard questionnaire. And he will take pictures, or she, or they. All vendors must submit an annual no change affidavit to maintain certification. So this is important to note. The regulations have gotten rid of the 5-year recertification application. So it's just important to maintain your certification. You need to submit those annual no change affidavits and notify us of anything that has materially changed. Notify the certification division of any changes, organization, business name, ownership, location. And you can report those material changes online in the portal via the expansion application option, and then follow up with an email to dps.certification@cityofchicago.org. So there's 2 things you should know to do the expansion application and notify us via email. An expansion of services must be submitted in writing. It's online via the expansion application. You want to include the expansion codes, then descriptions, and supporting documentation for those expansion of codes. You also want to provide the required licenses, contracts, insurance, resume, all of the information to substantiate your technical expertise. These are the top 10 reasons applications could be denied or returned, or there may be follow-up and requests for information. For example, if there's questionable ownership or control, or if it's unsubstantiated, your application may be denied. If there's unclear description of the critical functions and who is responsible, if the company cannot substantiate where and or how startup funds or expansion capital was initiated, if the majority owner has secondary employment that takes the majority of their business's time each day. And you just want to point out that even if you may have a full-time job and are starting up your business and working it on the weekdays, um, or weekends, that may be okay. You just have to explain how you are allocating your time. The company may, so if the company is not located in one of the 6 county regions for the local program, you may be denied, but um, this application should not even be received in the first place. If there's a point of contact that did not respond, this is important to respond to timely to request for information, because we are trying to meet that 90-day timeline to complete application. So if you're not responsive, your application may be closed or denied. If there's inconsistencies with the applicant firm name among various documents, that's unexplainable. Your application may be denied. If there's problems with contracts, if they're missing or incomplete, not signed or executed, we may have questions. Required documents are not attached and no explanation is given as to why the documents are not available, or if the tax returns aren't signed. So these again are not all the reasons why an application is denied. We also may correspond with you to resolve some of these issues too. And that's all I have. So if you have any questions, I recommend you call our customer service line at 312-744-4900, option 1. And any certification officer or staff member will be able to assist you with your questions. You can also email dps.certification@cityofchicago.org. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Regents. And for those of you that want to listen to the question section, go ahead and click on link 2. And we say to you as we end this presentation, stay safe, stay well, and hopefully we see you at our 9th annual vendor fair on August 25th at the Malcolm X College. Thank you. Thank you, Regents.
Thank you.